Psychologists say 80% of lies within families go undetected until it's too late. I was about to find out just how true that was. That was exactly what happened at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday that started like any other Tuesday, except it absolutely was not. I was making coffee because apparently my life had not gotten weird enough without me developing an unhealthy relationship with caffeine when I heard the sirens. Not unusual in New York. Sirens were like pigeons, annoying everywhere, and you learned to ignore them. But those sirens got closer and closer, and then they stopped, right outside our brownstone. Now, I should probably introduce myself before this gets completely insane. I'm Jake Morrison, 24 years old, unemployed journalism major, with a trust fund and daddy issues. Basically every millennial's nightmare, wrapped in designer clothes I didn't pay for. My dad? He's the mayor of New York City. Was the mayor. Depends on how you look at it. The knocking starts. Not the gentle, hey, we're here to chat kind of knocking. This is the, we have a warrant and we're coming in whether you like it or not percussion section. I peek through the curtains and see enough badges to supply a Boy Scout convention. NYPD, open up! My mom appears at the top of the stairs, looking like she just stepped out of a magazine. Even at dawn, Margaret Morrison doesn't do anything that isn't perfectly orchestrated. Her silk robe costs more than most people's rent, and somehow she makes terror look elegant. Jake, don't answer that, she whispers, but it's too late. Dad was already at the door. Mayor Richard Morrison, 6'2", silver-haired, the kind of man who shook hands like he was running for something, which, let's be honest, he always was, opens the door like he's welcoming constituents to a campaign rally. Gentlemen, how can I help you? Detective Marcus Dwyer stepped forward. I knew Dwyer from the news. Gruff, 40-something, looked like he eats crime scenes for breakfast and washes them down with disappointment. He was holding a piece of paper that was about to change everything. Richard Morrison, you're under arrest for the murder of Thomas Reed. The words hit like a freight train loaded with devastation. Thomas Reed. I knew that name, 32-year-old real estate mogul, golden boy of Manhattan development, the kind of guy who probably had his morning routine featured in GQ. More importantly, and here was where it got interesting, Thomas Reed had allegedly been sleeping with my mother. Allegedly. That word became my least favorite in the English language. Dad looks back at us. Mom, me, and my sister Emma, who's appeared like a ghost at the top of the stairs. Emma's 22, pre-med at Columbia, and right now she looks like she's about to faint or throw up, or both. Take care of each other, Dad says. There was no, I didn't do it. Just take care of each other. And then he's gone. The house felt different when the police left. Bigger, emptier. Like someone turned down the volume on life itself. Mom disappeared into her room. Emma locked herself in hers, and I'm left standing in our marble foyer, holding a cup of coffee that's gone cold, wondering what the hell just happened. The news broke an hour later. By lunch, our house was surrounded by reporters like we were the last Black Friday sale on Earth. The headlines wrote themselves, Mayor arrested for murder. Love triangle turns deadly. Political dynasty crumbles. I spent the day fielding calls from reporters, lawyers, and family friends who wanted to help or maybe just wanted front row seats to our spectacular downfall. Every conversation felt like walking through a minefield blindfolded. But here's the thing that's eating at me. The timeline of Thomas Reed's death doesn't quite add up to this morning's discovery and arrest. I kept replaying that night 3 days ago on Friday night when Thomas Reed died. Dad was supposed to be at a campaign event until midnight. I remembered because I waited up to talk to him about my job situation. Spoiler alert, still unemployed. But I'm pretty sure he never came home. At least I don't think he did. I was exhausted and fell asleep on the couch around 11.
so maybe he slipped in later and I missed him. The house felt different the next morning though, quieter somehow, like it was holding its breath. Actually, the more I think about it, the more confused I get. Did I hear something that night? Voices? Movement upstairs? Or was I half asleep, mixing dreams with reality like I always do when I'm stressed? All weekend I kept hearing phantom sounds, doors closing, muffled conversations, footsteps on hardwood floors. I thought I was imagining things, but now I wonder. Mom claims Dad was home by 11. Emma says she was studying and didn't notice anything, but there was something in the way Emma wouldn't make eye contact. Something in how Mom's story feels rehearsed, like she's been practicing it. From what I could piece together from the news reports, the murder happened somewhere in our house Friday night. Thomas Reed shot once in the chest with Dad's service revolver, the one he kept locked in his desk drawer in the study, the one only family members know about. No sign of forced entry, no struggle. Just Thomas Reed, dead on the expensive shag rug that ran under their king-sized bed in the master bedroom. The police must have discovered the body sometime over the weekend or early Monday, because everything was quiet until this morning's arrest. But if they found evidence pointing to Dad so quickly, why the delay in arresting him? Here's what we know. Thomas was having an affair. The evidence was overwhelming. Hotel receipts, restaurant bills, flowers delivered to a downtown apartment. The prosecutors were going to paint this as a classic crime of passion. Betrayed husband kills wife's lover. Case closed. Roll credits, everyone goes home. But I keep thinking about that night, and something felt wrong. Not just wrong, completely upside down wrong. Like trying to solve a puzzle when half the pieces are from a different box. I found myself walking through the house like a detective, looking for clues in my own life. Dad's study still smelt like his cologne and old books. In the master bedroom where the crime took place, there was a dark stain on the rug where they found Thomas. The cleaning crew couldn't get it all out. Mom wanted to replace the rug, but I couldn't stop staring at it. Evidence of something I still don't understand. Emma finally came out of her room around dinner time. She had been crying, her eyes were red and puffy, and she kept wrapping her arms around herself like she's trying to hold something in or keep something out. "Jake?" she says, sitting next to me on the couch. "What if Dad really did it?" The question hung in the air like smoke from a fire you couldn't quite locate. What if Mom was really having an affair and Dad just snapped? I wanted to tell her she was wrong. I wanted to say our father, the man who coached my little league team, who taught Emma to drive, who built his entire political career on family values, could never kill anyone. But the words stuck in my throat, like peanut butter. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. I didn't know my father as well as I thought I did. None of us did. Politics teaches you to wear masks, and maybe Dad wore his so long he forgot what was underneath. As a journalist, I knew I had to carry out my own investigation. Not like the police, because they think they already know what happened. I had to figure out whether my father was a murderer, or just the most convenient suspect in a story that's about to get a lot more twisted than anyone imagined. Because here's what I'm starting to realize. In a family built on public image and private lies, the truth isn't just complicated. It's dangerous. The first thing I need to do was talk to my father in prison. Then pay a visit to Thomas Reed's business partner, David Frost. If anyone knew what Thomas was really up to in the weeks before his death, it would be David. But getting to him won't be easy, especially now that every reporter in the city was trying to get an exclusive on the Morrison family scandal. I also needed to find out more about that downtown apartment where the flowers were delivered. The police mentioned it in their briefing, but they didn't give details. Who rented it? How long had it been used? And most importantly, was my mother really the woman Thomas was meeting there? Emma might know more than she's letting on. She's always been Dad's favorite, his confidant. If he was planning something, if he suspected Mom's affair, he might have told Emma. but getting her to talk mean breaking through whatever wall she's built around herself since the arrest. Then there's Mom, Margaret Morrison, the perfect political wife who never says anything without calculating its impact first. If she was having an affair, she's not going to confess it to me. But maybe I can find evidence, credit card statements, phone records, something the police haven't found yet. I needed to start digging into my own family's secret, find out how much of my life has been built on lies. I needed to discover whether my father had murdered someone, or if something even darker had been hiding in the shadows of the Morrison family legacy.